guys, it's your boy Jeameave back here with another video with Views from the Heart. Happy New Year to you. If you're wondering why I'm saying Happy New Year, it's because my two most recent videos that I posted was actually shot in December, and this video is actually well shot January 9th. So please excuse my scruffiness too. I know I cannot grow a beard. I'm actually in the middle of shooting a mini movie, so yeah, please pardon me and my appearance. I actually look far more professional than unusual. But anyway, I have a 2019 Hyundai, I'm said Infinity, excuse me. I have a 2019 Hyundai Ioniq, fully electric, courtesy of South Bay Hyundai. So once again, thank you so much to my guy Jeameave and my guy Chris for this opportunity. I appreciate you guys so much. So again, this is the 2019 fully electric Ioniq. This is not a hybrid. This is, I believe, off the top of my head anyway, Hyundai's first foray into delivering and offering a fully electric vehicle, not just a hybrid. It has an equivalent motor, which is equivalent to 118 horsepower. So I'm pretty interested to see how 118 horsepower feels. I've never driven an all-electric vehicle before, and 118 horsepower seems pretty meek to me. But again, that is just my initial inception of it. I don't know how it drives, so I'm eager to see how it drives and how it feels. And so let's take this bad boy around and find out. Let's go. So what's this like driving a 2019 Hyundai all-electric Ioniq? Well, to be honest, this is my first all-electric vehicle, and it's definitely very difficult for me to convey the sensation of driving an all-electric vehicle because it's so much different. It's not comparable to an internal combustion engine whatsoever. When you turn this vehicle on, there is, besides the chimes from the vehicle itself, there is no indication that this thing is on, other than, like I said, the chimes or looking at the HUD and seeing that it's illuminated. Because even then, when you look at it, you just kind of look at a screen and you're just like, what? Obviously these are things that you get used to, so it's not a big issue. It's just, I'm just trying to convey the intricate differences of someone being so used to a gasoline powered engine and coming to something that is, well, just about the complete opposite. And another interesting thing I've noticed is the gear selector here. It's kind of like a pseudo prism in a sense, where you have park, you hear the chimes, and we're parked right now. Then you hear reverse, and then obviously the door is locked again, and then now we're back in drive. But I don't know if you guys can really hear, but there is no sensation. Let me just make sure I'm in drive again, because Lord Jesus, I don't need the problems to just fly back to another vehicle. But there is no sensation, there is no gear selection feel, there is no feedback that allows you to know that you are in anything other than park. And there's a neutral as well. And what's even more interesting to me is the fact that this vehicle actually has drive modes. So if you look here in between the heated steering, sorry, it's not heated steering, the heated seats. This has heated seats but not ventilated seats. It has drive mode selections, and right now it has sport. You can see the HUD changes a little bit. It's more illuminated, and I feel like the throttle response definitely got a little bit more chippy. And then this one is in eco mode, which I felt immediately. Your foot has to be more planted on the accelerator, otherwise the car will brake itself essentially. Because right now I'm foot all the way off. The car is coming to a braking on its own. This is basically one touch driving, one pedal driving, which is very interesting. The car is creeping to basically a standstill on its own, trying to obviously regenerate as much energy as possible. And remember, this is an eco mode. And the more interesting thing I'm European now. Even more interesting thing is the fact that on the steering wheel we have paddles here, and these paddles actually dictate what level of regeneration that you want. So like I said, I am in eco right now, and I'm in level 1. The automatic braking or self braking is not nearly as pronounced as it is in levels 2 and 3 for obvious reasons. This is the lightest setting for it. So this is more two pedal driving, where by two pedal meaning foot off gas, foot on brake, like a normal car. But then when you change it to, there's level 0 too? Right, my fault. We also have the auto hold mode. I guess it only changes when you're driving, so you can't really fix that while you're parked. New car to me too, people. But other than that, the infotainment system here is pretty responsive. As you can see, we have all sorts of menus here, which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard in the limited trim. Chris, my good man, are you aware of the other models having Android Auto or Apple CarPlay as standard?
It's actually standard in all of our vehicles.
Okay, so excuse me, was not aware. And also, excuse me, my apologies, Chris. This is my good man, Chris from South Bay Hyundai. Once again, thank you so much for coming along with me for this ride. Chris, where can the people reach you at if they have any questions about Hyundais or are interested in purchasing a vehicle? Where can the people reach out to you directly?
My direct number is 707-694-5312. Give me a shout or a text or anything if you have any questions at all.
Well, you heard it there first. Please reach out to my guy Chris because he's the one helping me for this, and he's a very stand-up gentleman. But with that being said, let me see. Just focus back on the test drive route here. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh, look, coming through. And the funny thing is that I am within Los Angeles, California, and it's arguable that within the United States at least, California is definitely the king when it comes to EV vehicles. There's a lot of incentives, both government incentives as well as, you know, free carpool, even if you're one driver because you're a green vehicle. So as much as a car enthusiast that I am, I love me a good sounding engine. This is unfortunately the reality of what we're living in due to greenhouse gas emissions, and I'm losing my train of thought here because I'm saddened the fact that this is going to be the future. In a way though, because like I said, I'm pretty content driving this. Honestly, I'm not having any issues so far with driving this. It's really comfortable. I'm surprised by how comfortable it is, and the sound deadening in here is actually honestly pretty stellar. I think that's probably due to more contribute to the fact that there is no noise, vibration, or any harshness of such, because there's nothing vibrating in this car that you would normally feel from a car equipped with a gasoline engine. It is literally dead silent in here, other than when you move it can hear obviously the tires moving and just that slight little electric zzz. It's very subtle too, so it's not necessarily annoying as how I may have conveyed it to be, but that's what I mean by saying, if you're someone that has never driven even a hybrid before, you're coming straight from a gasoline powered vehicle, this is something that is so almost alien to you because it feels completely different. There is nothing really comparable to a gasoline powered engine in terms of how it feels while driving, other than the fact that you still use a steering wheel, which is surprisingly enough, even more so, which is so weird to me, is the fact that the steering, while it's not a sports car steering, I'm still getting adequate feedback from the steering, and I'm not even in, am I in sport mode? Oh, sorry, I'm in eco mode. But I'm in eco mode and I'm still getting enough feedback that would make me not complain about this on a daily basis. So I'm still in eco, so let me put this bad boy into sport. You see that bad boy HUD over there change, because you know we in sporty. We have a weaponized EV vehicle pushing out 118 horsepower, which I will demonstrate soon. Let me turn on this auto hold because that's a little bit weird to me. But it does have an auto hold feature down here, just below the drive mode, where auto hold, if you are in traffic, let's say on the 405, you can turn it on and essentially make it one pedal driving as well. So if that's more of your fancy, you know, I gotta say that's something you get more used to. I'm not really used to that because, like I said, this is my first time driving an electric vehicle. And again, don't make the 118 horsepower confuse you. Remember, electric vehicles have instant torque, instant power. There is no revving, there is no need to do anything. As soon as you mash the accelerator pedal, it is going. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying either, because I'm not gonna say that this is ridiculously fast. But when I hear 118 horsepower, I think to myself, that sounds very paltry, that sounds inadequate, that sounds not enough for something that would realistically weigh around 100 pounds. So this is something that is very interesting, and the feel of it does not translate to just 118 horsepower, because I've driven some vehicles that feel very lethargic, to say the least. But I'm gonna give it a little mash here.
Go for it.
So we are in sport mode.
Floor it even.
I'm flooring it right now. We are already at 60. Oh my god, this is interesting. That's and as you can see, there is no noise other than wind passing and obvious story noise itself, but this is so weird but fun at the same time because it's so instant. There is no gear change, there's no realistic feedback for in here. It just goes. And like I said, I'm not trying to say that this is ridiculously fast or anything like that, but when you hear 118 horsepower and you feel how this drives, this feels more than 118. If I were to put a butt dyno on here, I'll say this is more equivalent to like maybe I'll say probably like 230 horsepower. I'll say that's how it feels like to me. And in a relatively light vehicle, as I mentioned, around pounds, if I recall correctly, this is actually adequate, and this makes for a more fun commuter than you would expect because, like I said, it's so. Let me see. Just look at that overtake right there. Got the overtake right here, and look at that. That's just. It's an all-electric vehicle, people. This is something that you wouldn't expect in something of this nature, and I am in level 2 regenerative mode right now due to the paddles. And like I said, another interesting caveat is the fact that, like I said, there is not really any coasting unless you're in level 1 due to obviously for efficiency reasons. But other than that, at least moving on to the cabin, remember this vehicle is equipped to the limited trim. We have leather seating surfaces. The seats are actually really comfortable. Everything in here feels, look on the dashboard over here. And one thing that I love what Hyundai does is that a lot of American automakers especially love just putting just some dry, dab, very cheap looking plastic on the dashboard right here. But here, I'm not gonna say it's some sort of premium quality now, but it gives the impression that they care just a little bit more because it's more appealing aesthetically. It actually looks pretty decent if you look around. It doesn't look like some sort of cheap, just disgusting plastic that due to constant sun exposure will look like a piece of tarmac in a couple years. It's these nice little touches to me that really makes the difference for these kind of vehicles because it shows just that little bit more oomph, if you will. And I appreciate that a lot when it comes to these sort of vehicles because by all means, this is not cheap either. It's still relatively affordable, especially compared to something like, you know, your Model 3. But this is still in the neighborhood of $40,000. Chris, my good man, if someone were to be looking for this vehicle right now, what would they expect to get this vehicle for out the door if they're to come to you right now?
Out the door right now with the year-end sales and all that other good stuff, I could say out the door probably 38 to 39.
And realistically speaking, that's incredible because the interior is comfortable. The everything about here really just speaks of quality for what you're getting, and like I said, it's all within context. And one thing that people don't really notice either is the fact that this vehicle also has a lifetime warranty on the battery. You heard that right. For the first buyer, lifetime warranty on this battery, and that's incredible to me. So basically 50 years from now, you'll be like, okay, the battery is kind of dying, I'm not getting the performance I'm used to. Theoretically, based upon that line, you can come back and you'll be like, hey, yo, Hyundai, give me a new battery. And I guess it's as good as that. What other warranty, because I don't remember off the top of my head, remember it's like a 7-year warranty for the powertrain, or is that 10 years?
The powertrain is 10-year, 100,000, and the bumper to bumper is 5-year, 60,000. The 7-year that you thought of was the 7-year unlimited mile roadside assistance.
Oh, okay, so even different, because I'm not really familiar with things like that, but that's also pretty incredible too. 7 years roadside assistance, so that would include what, something like a tow truck, or? Yeah.
Up to a certain mileage, of course.
So basically, you don't really even need AAA to an extent.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's all I can say. Wow. And like I said, obviously that is only the beneficiary of that is the person who first purchased this vehicle. But like I said, this vehicle is courtesy of South Bay Hyundai, and honestly, as my first electric vehicle that I've ever driven, I can say that I actually like it. You know, as someone that is a strictly car enthusiast and is generally very much into a sport car, as a commuter vehicle and something that will save me some change and some time and some hassle as opposed to going to the gas station once a week, this was honestly pretty enjoyable. I can honestly say that this was enjoyable to drive. I love the feedback from the steering wheel. It's comfortable. The isolation in here from the side ending is great. there are a lot of standard features, and the only thing that I would say that I do not like is the fact that it does not have a panoramic roof. Instead, we have this quarter thing, but you know, we have something.
Yeah.
You know, something counts.
I got a hole in the vehicle.
But other than that, you know, I really genuinely like this vehicle, and if I could afford it, a second vehicle that was just strictly for the work commute, things of that nature. And also, one of the main things I forgot to mention to you, sorry, excuse me, I should have said this in the beginning, but it has a range of about just shy of 140 miles. So this is really your city commuter type vehicle. This is not something that you will take long road trips in, for obvious reasons. But if you are using this purely as a city slicker, this is very ideal. And I'm very eager to see how the all-electric Kona, which is going to be here within the next couple months or so, I'm very eager to see how that's going to drive, because that theoretically has a higher horsepower engine as well as almost twice the range at around 250, almost twice the range. So with that being said, this is your boy Jeameave, Views from the Heart. Hope you enjoyed the vehicle. Remember, this is a 2019 fully electric Ioniq, and the golden question is, would I own this vehicle? Yes, absolutely. But I would say that with a caveat on waiting on how the Kona feels, because I want to see if there's a huge difference and if there's going to be a little bit more of a premium, because the Kona is supposed to be only around $10,000 more or less, from what I'm hearing. I could be wrong. It could be less, it could be a little bit more, give or take. But I feel like if Hyundai wants to remain competitive, it needs to remain in the 45 to at the very most $52,000 if they want to sell those things as well as they want to, in my personal opinion. But like I said, there's a lot of things in here to like, and there's very few things to not like, other than any of the things that I talk about are not negative. It's really just things you gotta get used to for what the vehicle actually is, and it was enjoyable. So again, it's your boy Jeameave. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and supporting your boy, because there's a lot more videos coming out. So thank you very much and have a blessed day.